Get Michelange on here. Hey, what's up?
Hey, 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 how you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. It's kind of late over here. I think it's like 12 o'clock here.
hmm So, what were your thoughts about doing this live? Because anything that you do, as you've seen, you create groups, you initiate stuff. I tend to follow up with you whatever you're doing and support you in whatever you're doing. And I always think that I've always find that there's something positive and constructive going on whenever you come in the mix. Uh, so I was wondering what you got cooking this time. What's your idea about this live?
Um, well, so I go live on TikTok sometimes, and I do lab work for people on TikTok. You know,
Okay.
just showing what I do, showing people how to set up tubs and do transfers and all that. Nobody really seems interested on TikTok because I guess it's like a whole different genre of people. People are looking for like entertainment and to, show off or be funny. And a lot of it is, conversations and actions without substance just for like likes and views. And I feel like what I'm trying to do and what I do is important, for people in general, like the ethnogenic aspects of psilocybin, self-care, self-help, this kind of stuff I do that we have these groups for. And it's hard to find like-minded people that are into that or that are even open and receptive to hearing this aspect of it. So, I figured I'd go on live on Facebook because Facebook is the place where I have the most concentrated people that are like-minded and open-minded and that, are all together because of mushrooms. Like everybody on my friends list on Mad Hatter Labs is there because of mushrooms in some way, shape, or form. And I was just throwing a fishing line out there on my page. Like if somebody wanted to go live and, have like a little chit chat or discussion. Because like I said, anybody on my Facebook page is there because of the mushrooms. So I figured even if I talk to, mostly anybody, it's going to be a pretty interesting, beneficial conversation, based on
And
mushrooms.
and an encouraging one. I think that we should overlook and be ashamed to say in this day and age, in this society we're in, we need encouragement. What I'm hearing from what you're saying is the question of quality. We're living in an age where people, like, we're all related to these devices. This is our way of socialization. Before we'd be sitting, in ancient times, we'd be sitting around a campfire and we'd be sharing stories, we'd be sharing lore, we'd be sharing knowledge, sharing skills, sharing experiences in real time with real consequences on each other. That's the scary thing about online. If we're sitting around the tribal campfire, if I troll you, there will be consequences on my well-being. We're in the survival boat of life out in the forest together. We need each other, and that's explicit in the format, like the social media called the campfire out in the primeval forest, um, puts us in a language of mutual care, mutual support, and it's almost like it resembles the way the mycelium works. We become a network, an interdependent network in that village. Whereas social media has an ability to promise us the moon by working with us in terms of the algorithm, like mirror, mirror on the wall, show me more of what I want to see, yet dividing us. There's a thing where we're divided in the sense that by the very format, we can just say whatever we want and just go running. We can comment any old thing and just make a beeline and just uh, So as you, it's been the case for both of us in the groups that we've created, for instance, on Facebook, that we've been very thoughtful about the curating of the discussion, and it's no small thing. It's not censorship; it's community. Um, and so we have to be careful with certain these media like TikTok. I'm not against, it's not a black or white thing, but I think it's like you said, it is from what I see, that would be a very hard medium. It's almost as though we are cultural engineers exchanging about uh, substrate. It's almost like we're talking about which grain you like.
Yeah.
And what are the advantages of wild bird seed? What are the advantages of popcorn? What are disadvantages of brown rice? How does rye grain work, etc.? And so now we're talking about cultural media, and we're saying that TikTok is very versatile, it's very dynamic, but it lends itself to the superficial. It lends itself to the quick comment, the quick video, the hoo hoo ha ha ha. People are scrolling just to get sensation.
Yep.
It's a sensation oriented media like our era, and doesn't encourage the feeling I have responded, I have said something, I have to own what I have said, and build with the person who I'm commenting, build with something with them, you know? And so it doesn't necessarily lend itself to mushroom community. But anyway, I guess it means that both of us are very focused, not just on the mushroom, because we could just be taking the mushroom ourselves. I've told you the story. I had a DMT experience. I've had several, but the one, that one, within 2 weeks' time, I started cultivating mushrooms, and I've been on. It has changed my life. It's hard for me to explain. I mean, you would understand.
I understand.
You
I
would
understand. I've been through so
this
many
should have
changes
settled.
since I started this journey, and even like last week at Mycofest, I had a very, very intense journey, and it changed me. It changed me a lot.
So you journeyed while you were out there. I saw that you were out there, and talk to. I would appreciate. So we've started talking about the importance of community and quality, almost as though they're the same thing. A quality, especially online with people we've never seen each other face to face. So our community between you and I, our exchange between you and I and others who are with us, is just solely the quality of that discussion. And I think that's the observation both you and I missing, how important that is for transmitting the right values, so that this precious, powerful, profound thing get transmitted the right way, because it's so powerful. It got to be transmitted in a way that involves a lot of care, because we're going into the into the mind of the mind.
Yeah,
Let's don't fuck around.
yeah.
It's not a joke. So anyway, so events are a very powerful uh, situation where like-minded people might or might not, according to the event, meet up. So this is Mycofest where William Padilla Brown was and everybody, and Matt Powers was this
Yeah, it
event.
was his event.
So tell us about it. How was that?
Well,
I mean, even not even in terms of the journey, but the event too, because this is a question like events, and maybe you and I, as culture people, meaning you and I, culture communities, both of us, we might. This is something to talk about. We can create micro event. I mean, there's something to think about. And so I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
Elijah. You see Elijah on the groups. Elijah, him and his friends with Max, who had created the group, How to Do Drugs Like an Adult. They did a lot of like gathering where people go camping, like 20, 30 people,
yeah,
like not 4 people, not 5 people, and not 1,000 people, but like a village, like 30 people, and set up a
yeah,
site,
yeah,
and
yeah.
go camping and do journeying together. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what you saw, first of all? And then please tell us about the journey. But please tell us about the event as a sociological event, so we can see if there's something to model there.
Well, I'll tell you beforehand, before I even get into it. Not only is there something to model from what I experienced and what I seen, to me, that whole experience is the model. Like the community, the every, everything about it, just the people there, the feeling, the energy, the vibe. I've never been to a place where had I felt so much love and openness from every single person. Like I was just walking up to everybody, giving people hugs, telling them I love them. People I just met, they were hugging me back, saying I love you. It was the most phenomenal experience I've ever had, and
I want to quickly welcome Destry Reynolds, who I've known in the community for a while. Destry is great. Destry sent me swabs in the past. He moderates his own groups. And welcome to the discussion, Destry. You as well are somebody who creates community around mushrooms. So that's what we're talking about at this moment
Sub,
here.
I know
What's that?
Destiny also. He helped me when I first started on my journey.
That's That's great. So you were saying that because we're talking here, Des, we're talking about community and in particular about gatherings, we could
Yeah.
call it.
At first,
And
when I heard
but
about Mycofest,
you
wasn't
went
that
to
long ago. It
Michael
was
Fest.
maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't even gonna go because the way they promote it is gourmet mushrooms. On the flyers and stuff, they talk about like lion's mane, um, shiitake, all these gourmet mushrooms. So I thought that was going to be the whole vibe. And, doing what I deal with actives,
Right.
cultivating and also, like I said, the entheogenic aspects of the uh, the active mushrooms. And to me, there's a big difference between of course there's a big difference between gourmet and actives and the journey one goes on each route. So I wasn't even gonna go, but like the day before maybe I decided to go. I was like, it was like 35 minutes away from where I'm at. I feel like I have to go. So, I went.
Okay.
I didn't have high expectations or anything. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first festival I've ever been to in my life. I
Mm.
went there. There was tons and tons of people camping, and I decided to camp there for the weekend also. Just to get the full experience. Um, I went I went there. There was so many vendors. Everybody was, just so nice to me. As soon as I walked in, hey, how you doing? Just open discussion, open talks. As soon as you meet somebody, you can just, talk for however long. And people, one thing I noticed there, is just the vibe of the people. Like we were saying, community. There's so many different communities, and we come together online, me, you, Destry, uh, for this community of, mushrooms. Not only is it, for the most part, cultivation, but it's the healing aspect. It's the transcendence aspect. It's the, self-care. Um, finding yourself, going past finding yourself and finding the am within me. These deep philosophical journeys that we go on in this community, and it seemed everybody at this festival was there. Everybody had a mission. Everybody had ideas, and they weren't, superficial ideas or superficial um missions. It was, I cultivate this, I grow this, or I'm selling this, but it's
So this
not
is
for the money.
interesting
It's because I
because
believe in this. This is what I
let me
believe in, and this is why I'm doing this. And I love that about everybody there. Everybody had their own mission, and then, it was something true to everybody's heart, no matter what it was. And, to me,
so
that's a
what I'm hearing
powerful thing.
what I'm hearing as well from you is that you talked about an ambivalence about going out there. Said, well, this might be more about gourmets, where I'm into this active thing and all the whole thing about active. It's a whole path, right? And so you went out there and discovered that these people were on a whole path. One thing I'm discovering from hearing from you about it, I would have thought, this event like this is going to be a showcase for two or three big influencers in the mushroom gourmet world, like William or whoever, like people that I admire, that I've learned from their videos and their YouTubes. You know what I'm saying? People I've been following since I first got interested, but still in that model of the person up there and the followers down here. And what I'm hearing from you saying, it's almost like everybody was a star. I think that's interesting, almost like a mycelic, hyphae activity. So, am I right in you giving that impression that as though everyone's ping ponging off each other, everybody's billiard balling off each other,
Exactly.
repercussion of vibes from in a nonlinear, quantic, mycelial way, and not this top down of somebody we may be getting ripped off, or when's Guns N' Roses coming out?
Yeah, yeah.
They're canceled the
It
show.
was
We
nothing
down
like
here,
that. It was nothing like that. Everybody I met there, even the speakers, the even the speakers there, a lot of them were, super smart, had their own businesses, or were part of like some huge business or industry, no matter what it was, and they get up there and all their presentations were, like I said again, something they believed in and something, they were living for. But after, they give their presentation, you could walk around and meet them, and like me, this happened to me a couple times. Like they just seem like regular people. Like I just started kicking it with somebody, and I'm like, hold on, you look familiar. Like, did you speak yesterday? And it was like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. And then I'm thinking in my head, this guy was so smart. He knew so much, but now like he's just like regular Joe Schmo, and we're just kicking it, talking about I don't know, consciousness, all this stuff we talk about in the philosophy groups and psilocybin circle, like what all this means. Nobody was a star of the show there. We were, I guess you can say, all stars in our own right. And again,
Mm.
you're right. Like we were bouncing ideas off each other, learning from each other. Just super open-minded and super receptive to what the next person was doing. And
This
I
sounds
love that
very
there. I
powerful.
love that there.
And if we go back into entheogenic history, if we go way back, of course, people were regularly uh, connecting with the various vines and plants and fungi as part of their tribal life, as part of their local life, you know. So it's always been a culturally mediating sacrament. It wasn't a go off. I mean, there's a go off on your own aspect, but it's immediately, the experiences I've had experience with initiatic traditions, and it's very much there's a part that's go it alone, but they're watching you go it alone. It's like we watching the person on a live feed. We watching them. It's almost like a boxing match. You got your corner. Your corner is watching you in the ring, and they're holding space. That's what allows you to go deep in, because you got not just one person who you paid to drip sit you. You got a family around you. It is very comforting to have a group around you. Trip sitting with one person oftentimes might be too intense. It'd be like, imagine you trip sitting me. I'm like, oh shit, Bad Hatter, is he God or is he what? It might be, you know how this can be. You've been there. It's actually in terms of transference that can occur. I had an experience. I told you about that, I think, once, a 8 gram experience with another guy. We barely spoken to each other since. It was just too deep for it to be about me and the other. But it could be that for instance, when I took DMT, it was me and the others. There was several people there with me. And so when I came down from this, integrating these people as everyday people is very helpful to have a circle of people around us that allows us to go in all in. It's almost like a family archetype. Now, that's how it was throughout history. And then, if we're looking at the history of entheogens in the 20th century, first, in the earliest people were the mescaline people, the literary circles, poets and writers in the very beginning of the century. But then if we go up into the beatniks, jazz poets and people like that, and then finally into the era where you've got people like the Merry Pranksters and the Grateful Dead and the acid Kool-Aid test, which started the hippie thing.
Yeah.
There's a group of people just like this, and later down the line you start to have big festivals like Woodstock and Isle of Wight, where the music is happening as well. This had a tremendous aspect, tremendous partner, and a tremendous impact on our culture, on our society, on our reality to this day, amongst even the straightest people in the world. It's like hip hop. I mean, whether you vote right or left, it's amazing to see people like, say, Trump or whoever is racist, and then you see people on that political spectrum, whether here or in France or the various countries, using the language of the other side. So each side is using it. People can't help but impact each other. These groups impact each other, and it seems like the psychedelic gatherings. When we think of the hippie era, we think of communes, we think of big concerts, we think of people camping. So this is interesting that this is coming back up, and something about what's interesting is that was a time of hedonism, and I'm down to party. I'm down for free sex. I'm down though. Sorry, free love. I'm down for all that hedonism, but it seems that time was a hedonistic time. It was also a political time in that the hippies were all manifestly on the left wing, on the left wing of the spectrum. So as though it came identified like entheogens are something of a very certain political thing, political orientation. Whereas this time around, in this new rising of the entheogenic flush, it seems that these events, first of all, I want to say on the political spectrum, we got people of all political colors in this community. And even managing that is one of our culture tasks. It's almost like doing transfers. We like try to manage on quality rather than on content. I frequented in my groups that I'm involved in, I frequent people who I completely disagree with politically,
Yeah.
and that is very wonderful that this subject make us so mature that we are able to collaborate. Like the functioning of mycelium is how to create connection. Hello, Steve Early. Steve is also someone we know in the community. Welcome aboard, Steve.
What's up,
I
Zach?
saw a comment from Zach. What's up? We're talking about mycelial community, about community around these entheogens. And
So,
so we're saying is just to finish this, I want to say number one, that I think it's been your experience, our experience, that the care we bring to these communities, the topic is so profound that we've
absolutely.
had to find ways to get along, almost like recovery groups have to get along with people we may not have mixed with normally. And it sort of mirrors the way, and we've had that privilege of being able to get along with people in spite of what might separate us out in society. So in some way, we're bypassing almost bioremediation, bypassing the way society might normally divide us about stuff we care about, so-called. Like I'll be like, normally, I would never frequent somebody of the other political persuasion, and here I am chopping it up, getting advice from life, and not just Myco advice, life advice from somebody who I wouldn't vote the same as. So I'm wanting to see here this idea that this new kind of gathering, different from the gathering of the 60s, because we're seeing the importance of gatherings. We've talked about the importance of communities, we've seen the importance of gatherings, but these gatherings here in this 2024 era are not as careless and hedonistic and end up being Charles Manson and Altamont Speedway type deal as it was in the 60s. It's an era of care. It's an era of veterans of PTSD. I mean, the word PTSD, the word trigger is everywhere in the culture. People are hurt out there and looking for support. So there's this aspect of care that's out there. Did you see that as well when you're at Mycofest?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was a very open, open-hearted group of people. One thing I realized, where the world in general, especially here in America, is all of a show. It's all a show. I was explaining this to somebody the other day, like even interactions with, anybody is a show. Like even, when you see your parents after a long time or your family after a long time, the whole interaction is like, hey, how you doing? Everything's good. I just got this. This is going good. It's all a show to put on to show, that you're you're good or you're doing better than you really are. Interactions at work with, your bosses or coworkers. It's a show. And I get it. To interact with people on some type of level, it has to be cordial and whatever. But here, people were like, very open about whatever they were going through, where they're at in life, what's on their mind, how they feel about you. It was very open. I was so open with people there. You can probably guess, I post a lot in the psilocybin circle about my experiences, and I know a lot of the stuff I post seems weird, maybe embarrassing, or like kind of off the deep end, but you know, it's just me being honest. Like I don't care how I look and I don't care how I'm perceived. I just want to give, you know, the honest truth so it can help the next person. And maybe that person can help the next person. You know, and it's like a stepping stone for people that want to, you know, go down this path that I'm going to. I share it for people to, you know, learn from and grow from. You know, maybe they can, you know, learn from my experience and maybe go that way or not go that way. You know, and it's to help the next people.
Most definitely. Most definitely, and that's been me. I've shared experiences. No, there's in no way, shape, or form. I think you're just saying that academically. You know damn well that your shares on that group are like everyone shares on that group. We see all kind of people sharing all kind of things. It's funny. That the question I posted about epilepsy. I posted a question about epilepsy because I start dating a girl who has epilepsy. And I told her about this group, and she's like, "Oh, I want to join." I'm like, "I don't know yet. Slow your roll." Why? Because this is very intimate. It's a very intimate space,
Yes.
very intimate space. And so there's that going on. I would like to ask. So we're agreed about what we value here. Since you were at Mycofest, I want to ask you, how did they do that? How did they create that? Because you and I, for instance, I admire how on your group psilocybin integration, people always answer. I asked you about this. People always answer the vetting questions. And once somebody has answered the vetting questions, they're already in the frame of mind to
Yeah.
participate constructively. You're never going to have to weed out the troublemaker, you know? Whereas to this day, we still have to. And so I'm asking, what are the conditions, the causes and conditions? We are cultivators. We know that there are conditions to create the fruit that we need.
Yeah.
So if you and I, let's say, I'm thinking, you know, I'm involved with a charity out here. I don't know if you've been seeing. I've been involved doing you know, environmental oriented mushroom community
Sure.
work,
Yes,
gourmet
sir.
mushroom community work in my area. And they got a big land, they got stuff going on. So it's a partnership. And I'm thinking maybe next year or some years soon, maybe I should start trying to create an event like this. Or maybe you think in your mind where you're at, maybe you want to create another event of a different kind or with a specific emphasis. Who knows? But this quality of care that you're talking, the quality of care of, you said of spontaneity, honesty, transparency, trust. Let's put it that way. An ambiance of trust uh, that is so important in 2024. How do you think they did it? Did you see anything in the way they set up the space, or was there something technical? Because I do believe that technical things can have a tremendous impact on our experience, almost like set and setting. How did they manage the set and setting of the event?
I think
Vulnerability. Zach is saying the importance. Zach added the word vulnerability. That's right. So how did they create a space where so many people who normally don't know each other were able to feel vulnerable together? How do you think they did it? And and if you don't know, how could we create that? What would be your idea of how to create that safe setting?
well, I've been you know, actually I'm putting together something like that, you know, some group journeys and maybe some expeditions, groups like smaller groups like you were talking about, like 5, 10, 15,
When we
20
said
people.
expeditions, I love it.
Yeah.
Expeditions.
Yeah,
I've
because
not
that's
heard
what
that
it
word.
is. It's like a journey of the minds and we're, you know,
When we said quests, I was just about to set up some quests up in here.
yeah. See, see what I think it is it was in the middle of like some big farmland they rented out, like a lot of acres, and you know half the
Wait 1 second. I just want to shout out the illustrious Toad Boom is in the room, one of our heroes.
what's up, Toe
Welcome,
Boom?
Toad Boom. We're talking about creating powerful and vulnerable healing mushroom related gatherings and events. Matt Hatters just came back from Mycofest, and we're wondering what are the tech parameters of how to create a good gathering. Go ahead, bro.
So I think first the setting was, you know, the place. It had to be, you know, in the woods somewhere far away from, you know, the city. Cause, oh yeah, before I even start that, I said that, in the beginning of this conversation that, you know, I didn't want to go to Mycofest because they were promoting, you know, gourmet mushrooms and medicinal mushrooms versus active. One thing I came to learn really quickly, very quickly, as soon as I stepped on the property, was that part was just for promotion. But most of the people there were, you know, into actives and there because of actives. But the, you know, the promotion part was, you know, so they can promote. But everybody there, they was on the same, you know, wavelength and idea as me. So I think, you know, first off, the setting has to be in nature, you know, away from everybody, away from everything, you know, in the woods. That's, you know, that's our calling when we're, you know, eating mushrooms. And as far as the set, when you're as adamant about mushrooms as, you know, the people in our groups are, as much as you are and me are, we kind of for the most part have the same mentalities and the same ideas and, you know, the same beliefs that bring us together. And I think that was the hugest part of, you know, bringing these like-minded people where we can, and, you know, all meet up and have a good time, learn from each other, was just the mushroom in general. Like to have that as the center stone for the event, like we're here for mushrooms, you know, and if you're that into mushrooms, you have the community, the friendliness, you know, the happiness, the open mindedness, the open heartedness that, you know, you're asking about right now. So
And so Michael Fest happened in the woods, by the way.
it was in the woods. You know, it was like on a big farm lot, a big farm lot.
So this is important. Yeah, this is important because it also involves, it implicitly says we have gone away together. When you meet up with people there, it's not like you're just dropping, ah, this sucks. I'm gonna hop on this subway. I'm out of here. Fuck y'all. So it's not that TikTok swiping dynamic of how it would happen if you just dropped in a city center and see somebody up there on a podium and this, why I'm gonna go over there Subway, get myself a sandwich. Fuck this shit. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Well, I'll come back. I'm gonna go check up with this girl. I know this girl is part of the time. I'm gonna go check with her. I'll see if she wants to come. If not, I'll just stay over there. I don't we'll see. Whereas you're talking about this almost a trip dynamic, trip in the psychedelic sense. There's a trip dynamic in going, gearing up. Many people camping,
Yes.
gearing up to go out there. Because what's going on here? I feel like you and I, we've been in conversation. It's been over a year and a half almost. We've been talking and talking and exchanging and encouraging each other. And I feel that what we're exploring is the tech of community.
Mhm.
Community has tech. Of course it does. It's the setting settings of things that have worked and haven't worked. And this, people held the candle for before our Facebook groups and Reddit groups and Instagram groups. There's different tribes and different things. We just described TikTok. We're talking about things, what works, what doesn't. We're exchanging lore about what works and what doesn't. This is what our ancestors did. Our ancestors didn't believe when the conquerors and colonists and exploiters and empire found some tribe, they'd be like, oh, they believe in that fetish there, or they believe in this. No, from my experience, I've been involved in traditions that are old as, and what you discover, it's not belief. They don't be like, they don't be like, am I a good pygmy? Like somebody like, am I a good Christian? Am I a good Muslim? Am I a good pygmy? They don't be asking, they don't have this neurosis. They don't have this guilt. They just be like, follow the tech. Like, we do what those who came before us did because people were out in nature surviving in the desert or the jungle or the mountains, and they passed down poetically to their children how to survive the situations, poetically enough that it can vary, the seasons can vary and the conditions might change, but that the butt of the joke isn't forgotten. So to encode the tech. And so the idea of culture, human society as tech is how our ancestors saw things. That's what initiations were about, to bring dude into the thing. So therefore, after that, we'd be like, he's a trusted vendor. You know, they put somebody in some ant hill or put them in some, bury him in some shit, give him some mushrooms or something, goes through an experience, and after that we know this dude is an element. The dude's an element now. Dude is a trusted vendor. Dude is a trusted element. We can trust him with the survival of our children, this person, because they've gone to the brink of the cosmos and confronted the void. And so they're with us. So they've brought back wisdom, by the way,
Yeah.
for the group, to enrich the group. So this seems very important, the metaphor of the journey, of the expedition, even to sit down together. Everyone has gone on a journey in order to gather. So this seems to be an important element that we shouldn't forget. I bet if we neglect that element, that will affect the quality of the discussion. If we have it downtown in City Hall or rent some Shriners Hall in town, there might not be the same level of engagement and quality. It might feel like that kind of TikTok dynamic you just mentioned. There's certain media that lend themselves to a kind of shopping behavior. Zach is out. Thank you for being with us, Zach, because when you're with us, then it becomes us, you know. So thanks so much for validating, making this real. And welcome aboard, Jay Martinez. Welcome aboard. Welcome to this conversation. We're talking about Mad Hatter has come back from Mycofest, and we're talking about the technology of creating mushroom-related entheogenic communities. The benefit of that in this day and age, in this troubled era, and the technique, sociological technique or approaches or values that we need to focus on in order to make that happen. And you describe the fact that everyone goes on an expedition, meet out in the woods. We're going to meet out in the woods for the gathering. That puts us on equal footing, puts people on equal footing.
I think, like you said earlier, mostly everybody at Mycofest there has been on that journey. You know, the psychedelic journey of, you know, looking for self, looking for healing. And that was a common denominator that, you know, brought us there and made it so easy to connect and click and, you know, have these relationships with each other. Like we know where we came from and we know how we got there. We know where we're going. We know where we're at. Like we've all been on this journey and, you know, in our own lives, but those journeys that we took, you know, through mushrooms brought us all here together. And, you know, just to know that was you just to know that about the next person made it so much easier to, you know, talk, get to know the person, open up, be honest, be truthful, be vulnerable.
So you're saying that when we come to a gathering like that, we know again, it's almost like those recovery groups. Somebody sits down in a recovery group for whatever thing that they're trying to work on and get over, like, oh, these people around here, they've been through it too. And that creates a powerful bond, an initiatic bond already. And you're saying that when you go out in the woods, park your car and set up tent out in a field, and there's other people who are doing the same thing in the name of mushrooms. Like, wait a second.
Mushrooms.
They have gone on, just like you and I. We connect. We know that we have been on our journeys and our expeditions and explorations, and so it's almost like we have shared biography, parallel journeys, and we allow, again, in a mycelium kind of metaphor, connecting allows each of our journeys to re-up. You know, so we get juice, we get fuel, we get fed. By validating each other's experience. So you're meeting other people who have the same kind of experiences, and everybody be on equal footing. But what about the money aspect? Was it expensive? How did that roll?
Well, it was expensive. The, you know, overnight camping for 3 days, you know, was around $150 to $200. The vendors, they were expensive. Food was expensive there. But you know, it was worth it for me, and I would pay it again. You can't put a price tag on, you know, that kind of.
How much it was worth? Yeah. Yeah, because that's a question. I mean, many of the people that we are descended of in managing communities like this before us with the kind of people from Shroomery. Shroomery was the ancestor to this current generation. Shroomery online, and before that, it was the gang of people like Stamets and McKenna and these people that were culturing at home, you know, on the down low and sharing with each other on High Times magazine ad or who knows what back in the day. And it's funny because the mushroom came in when LSD and the other entheogens got cracked down upon. That's Kathleen Harrison, Terrence McKenna's wife. You can look it up. Kathleen Harrison. It's a lovely woman. And they've got a botanical garden. I don't know if you've seen this or heard about this. They got their botanical garden foundation down in Hawaii. In any event, she talks about how the mushroom came in at a moment in the culture in the history when the LSD had gotten shut down, and so this became something that people were able to do for themselves, and we know how important that is. And so, what I was going to say though is that we're in an era where this is not the '60s, and it is our challenge. Just like mycelium, those spores go in every direction. They have great genetic diversity when we go back to spore in order to survive. We don't even know what kind of environment that this mushroom will be able to survive in. So it's like, you know, Star Wars, a kind of pod with R2-D2 fly down on Dagobah, or we'll see how it works. And it seems like we're not in a time, this time around, it doesn't seem to be necessarily a thing of no money. We got vendors here, and vendors are making a living. It might be more a question of sustainable, making a living. We're not trying to burn down society and run away or just go into a total orgy. I mean, that sounds wonderful, but that doesn't seem to be the vibe right now. It seems to more about sustainable, about care, and that involves money. It's a question I've got. I mean, I don't have an opinion about this. It's something I'm exploring for myself, as you know. You know, I work in the mushroom industry now, but not entheogenically, and I'm trying to think about the activities that I do off the screen, so to speak, around that. Like, how do I manage that with money? Is that okay? You know, in our Judeo-Christian society, we'd be having guilt around money. Is it self?
With the money aspect, even though it was expensive, you know, I was trying to figure it out in my head why it was, you know, so expensive. But you know, the more I thought about it, the more I got it. One, you know, you have to rent out the land, the porta potties, and all that stuff. Probably get insurance. And one thing that was cool, they had a different speaker, sometimes two speaker every hour on the hour for the whole 3 days there. Then you know,
wow.
Yeah, so and these speakers aren't just like random people. They're like really knowledgeable people deep in the field from all over the country. Like you have to bring these people here, you know, pay them for their time, you know, set up a place for them to stay. To have that many people speaking on the hour, every hour for 3 days straight, you know, it takes a lot of planning and effort and, you know, some money. And I don't think he really set that up for the money to make a profit. Of course, you want to kind of make a profit when you're investing your time, but him and you know the founder of it and everybody in general really believes in this stuff. They believe in what they do. They believe in, you know, the mushroom, helping other people, helping themselves, you know, spreading the awareness, spreading love, you know, changing.
So what I'm hearing from you is that this was quality. It's almost like if I want a quality culture to grow.
Yeah, high end quality. High end quality.
What you say?
It was high end quality, to the point that it inspired me. Like I'm working on new stuff in Mad Hatter Labs. I'm setting up, like I said, outside excursions for, you know, psilocybin journeys. Like I'm starting a whole bunch of new things just from being there, listening to other people, learning from other people, seeing what they're doing. And like you said, you were thinking, how can I do this where I'm at? Like you can do it. We need to do it. I'm gonna do it. It's something that needs to be done. And you know, he started small. He said he started real small the first year. The second year, you know, he worked with what he had. It wasn't sufficient enough till now. he finally got under control where he has it running, really good, and it's enjoyable for everybody. And he's not falling behind on staff. He's not falling behind on space. Like, it took him years to get to this point, but when he started, there was issues. And he worked with what he had. If you build it, people will come. If you build it, people will
All
come.
right. Listen, I have to run, and we did not get into your journey. So on one hand, we've talked about what we could describe as the outside, like how do we create the set and setting of these kind of gatherings. And I think we've had a complete discussion about it. That's good to not make something too long so somebody can digest it. When we post this, I'm going to post this in psilocybin circle, for instance. If I can, I don't know, I'll get the link of this exchange, and there's a clear topic. But I would like very much if we do this again soon, tomorrow or the day after. There you go. So let's arrange to meet so we could go into the the journey aspect, and talk a little bit about our psychedelic experiences on that level,
Absolutely.
which is its own conversation. So I want to thank you for going for it. Again, we gotta take risks to make things happen. It's very much about that. And so you went for it and set up this live. And I think we should keep meeting up like this, or that if it's not me, you should keep doing this.
It's important, man. It's important. This is important. I feel like this is the future. What we're doing is the future for ourselves, for other people, and on a larger scale, like humanity. I feel like humanity needs this.
I agree. Because the system divides us, turns us into objects, this technology, and we're using the very same technology to patch back into each other. So we are performing the way mycelium is performing. In spite of whatever's going on in the environment, we're finding our ways to make our connection and make our transmission. So it's a wonderful thing. My dude, I wish you a wonderful evening, and I want to thank you for yeah, thank you. Just got up and I gotta run. Gotta make them donuts.
I hear you, man.
All right. So I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on here and talking to me.
It's an honor and a great pleasure. It's wonderful to link up.